one of the reasons that it seems so egregious to me that Donald Trump continues to put at risk the lives of people who come to his rallies and all of that is that it would be one thing if he had totally moved on from worrying about coronavirus. Now, obviously, in terms of doing anything about it for the country, he has. But more and more reports are coming out that his own internal fear about the disease is higher than ever before. This is coming from reporting from CNN saying, as he seeks to insert rival Joe Biden's health into the presidential campaign, Trump has voiced escalating concern about how it would appear if he contracted coronavirus and has insisted on steps to protect himself, even as he refuses to wear a mask in public and agitates for large campaign rallies where the virus could spread. They say that when he travels to locations where the virus is surging, which is pretty much every place he goes to for some reason, every venue the president enters is inspected for potential areas of contagion by advanced security and medical teams, some of whom, like Francesca pointed out in Tulsa, got coronavirus while doing this. According to people familiar with the arrangements, bathrooms designated for the president's use are scrubbed and sanitized before he arrives. Seems like a waste of time considering he seems like exactly the sort of person that would absolutely blow up a bathroom. But anyway, staff maintain a close accounting of who will come into contact with the president to ensure they receive tests. And it's even more deceptive than this. Because apparently, while the White House phases out steps such as temperature checks and required mask wearing in the West Wing, changes meant to signal that the country is moving on, those around the president still undergo regular testing. So nationally, and even inside of the White House, it's all, oh no, we're totally cool, don't worry about it. But all the barriers around Trump specifically are still at an all-time high, showing that he does get the threat. He just doesn't care if it affects anyone other than himself.
Yeah, no. Poor guy. He's painted himself into a corner here with his own feces. It is no, seriously though, because it's like all you got to do is put on a mask. Just put on a mask. Just do it. Mm-hmm. And he can't, and he won't. But once again, the way that this shows the disrespect that he has for his own base and that he takes them for granted, he thinks they're not smart. He celebrates the fact that they don't believe in science. He has his bathroom cleaned, but not the general public's bathroom cleaned.
Yeah. Yeah. For him, it's scrub down surfaces. For his fans, it's removing advisory stickers.
Yeah.
And God, you would, yeah. Remember when Joe Biden was like supporting not postponing that primary early on? It was very beginning of like the lockdowns and everything, and he was not pushing to have it postponed and how much we attacked him. Like, we're not being ridiculously biased against just Trump. Like, we pointed out when both sides do it. And Biden, thankfully, as a result of that pressure, started to take it more seriously. But the fact that the president can care so little about whether his followers die, and they don't care. It doesn't seem to affect them. You don't see, tons of posts about, I was a loyal MAGA head, but the guy doesn't seem to care if my family dies of COVID. If that doesn't get through to you, what possibly could? If your own life doesn't inspire you to move on from this movement, what could get through at that point? I don't know.
I mean, this is the moment we've been asking, right? Like, what would happen if Trump actually did go out on Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody? Well, that would almost be better than what's actually going on right now, which is 127,000 people dead. Mm-hmm. The majority of whom are because of a lack of federal action and Trump's inaction. He's killed way more than one person on Fifth Avenue.
Yeah.
So yes, the answer is yes, there would still be support for the president if he went out and straight murdered someone, because he's essentially murdered many, 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 many Americans, including his supporters. And it's so counterfactual because it's like, don't you need them to make it to November, bro?
Yeah.
Don't you need them to support you?
I get they have apparently made the seemingly death panel sort of calculation that the voters will lose from our political strategy vis-a-vis coronavirus is less than the voters we would lose if we now sent the signal that we need to take this seriously, and we might confuse people because we obviously weren't for months. That is some darkly immoral political calculations. But that seems like that's what they've done.
And the other calculation they're making, and it's similar to that, John, is that perhaps Democrats take this more seriously, right? And perhaps communities of color that are being harder hit take this more seriously. And so it's just another way of voter suppression. And obviously we know that that's the whole strategy with preventing voting by mail and having that be a lot easier, and absentee ballots being easier to cast. So it kind of works. It works for if you don't believe Democrats should be voting, Democrats generally take this more seriously, it might work out in your favor.
Yeah. By the way, I also want to mention one other thing. We try not to make every show exclusively about coronavirus, but I read that the percentage of those hospitalized from coronavirus that are in younger age demographics is now higher. That this second spike, it's really just a continuation of the first, because we never really got out of it, is younger. And I don't remember, it might have actually been you tweeting that apparently there's evidence that with the Spanish flu, the same sort of thing happened, that initially it rampaged through older, weaker, populations immune-wise. And then the second one started to hit seemingly healthier people. And the thing is, we know that there have been young, not just conservatives, but a lot of them conservatives saying, why should I have to stay home? I'm young, I'm strong, I want to go out and work. Well, apparently it's coming for you now. Anyway, it's going to be really interesting to see. We're getting into a week where the silver lining has been that while these numbers have gone up, hospitalizations have gone up, and all that is terrible, the deaths have not gone significantly up. It's basically flatlined for a week now, and everybody's been saying, well, if the cases are going up and it takes 1 to 2 weeks for deaths to lag the cases, we could be entering into a dark week. Hopefully not, fingers crossed, but that could be coming. For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.